Alright, so what's going on, guys? The other day, Hav had a live stream. I think it was Friday night for a good 2, 3, 4 hours. We were all in there. The whole crew was in there for the most part, just talking, chatting, watching Hav be Hav. And then Smash JT was talking with Wood Baron Retro about, Wood Baron was like, well, what kind of content should I make? And something along those lines. And the idea came up of everyone in the community, our small little group of collectors, like what really got us into gaming and what cemented it as our passion and love for collecting and gaming and that kind of stuff. But before I do that, I got something special that I just got at the grocery store. Stealing this from Bad Company like I often do. Every once in a while I like to do a little food tasting. So I found these on the shelf. They were 2 for $6. I was like, yeah, I'll buy them. Birthday cake Oreos. And I think they might be double stuffed too. So, no, not double stuffed. Ooh, those smell like birthday cake. Mmm. Oh, good. Dat Game Collector recommended. Now I'm going to have Oreos in my teeth in the video. Alright, so I grabbed some little stack of games here to go along with my story. So way back in the Christmas of 1994, I got a Super Nintendo, and I was 4 years old. So that was my first entry into gaming. But at an earlier age, I want to say it was probably 3, because much younger than that you really don't remember stuff. But I remember going to a babysitter's house and playing Kirby's Adventure. This is my nice minty copy. That label was perfect. And I remember playing this and always wanting it. And like for the longest time after that, I never really remembered what the little pink guy's name was. And then one day, when I went to Toys R Us after I had had my Super Nintendo, I ended up seeing him on Kirby's Avalanche, and I assumed that it was a similar game to this, but sure enough it wasn't. This is a Puyo Puyo Tetris game. But I still do love this game because it has a lot of fond childhood memories with me, and it's a really fun, it's a fun Tetris game. I mean, it has nothing really to do with Kirby except for sound effects and visuals, but it's not your traditional Kirby. But so that's one of my earliest memories was Kirby's Adventure, so I do love me some Kirby. Probably one of my favorite series. Even the games are so easy to play and beat, but that's kind of the appeal to me because anybody can just pick them up and play them. That's why I love Kirby. So unfortunately I don't have my Super Nintendo box here. I still have it. It's in, I'd say it's a 7 out of 10 over the years. It's held up pretty well. It's honestly next to my Steel Battalion Complete in Box new that I got. My Super Nintendo box and Super Nintendo are my most prized possessions out of my collection because my Super Nintendo is 24 years old. That's really insane to me, and it's mine. It's never left my possession, and it really means a lot to me. I don't talk about the Super Nintendo a lot because collecting for it now is just really not honestly fun. I have about 60 titles for the Super Nintendo, so I'm pretty content with what I've got. I pick them up every once in a while. I picked up Chrono Trigger over the summer. Still haven't beaten it because I got stuck on it, but I am going to beat it at some point. But so the Super Nintendo that I got was the Play It Loud Donkey Kong Country Edition. Here's my original cart still, in pretty good shape as well. I can't tell you how many times I've played and beaten this game. I honestly, like, probably at least 30 times, like no joke. I know where every bonus is, every shortcut, everything about the game. I've just beaten this game so many times. So this is my first memory of, the first game that was like mine. So the Super Nintendo, I actually have a picture from Christmas of '94, which is also something I'm really proud to have still. So it was actually given to me and my sister. I have a sister who's 3 years older than me. So here's a picture of us on Christmas Day of 1994, and you can see my face. I'm just sucked in and just drawn in, just like, oh, is this real life? And so we're sitting there playing Donkey Kong. I think that was all we got, was just the Donkey Kong, because when we were younger, we were pretty poor, honestly, because at that point in time, The 64 was like about to come out, and Super Nintendo at that point in time, I think it was $100, which $100 now seems pretty cheap, but back in '94, that was probably roughly about $250 with inflation and whatnot. So not a cheap Christmas present by any means. So that was my first entry into gaming. But you know, the trilogy of this is my favorite game of all time, hands down. I don't care your opinion. Most people don't like the first one. Most people don't even like Donkey Kong Country, period. I don't really care what your opinion is, because this is my favorite game. So that's fine if you don't like it. But, and honestly, for me, Donkey Kong Country 2 is my least favorite out of the three, and Donkey Kong Country 3 would be my second. I love these games. To me, this is probably one of the greatest trilogies of all time, next to another one that's in this stack. So I love these games, and those are some of my, you know, fondest memories of gaming. They truly are. But what really cemented gaming for me as my hobby and passion was the 6th generation of gaming. It's my favorite generation. The GameCube is my favorite console. It beats out the Super just by a little bit, just because I got that in Christmas of, I want to say it was '02, because that's when Metroid Mario would have been out. And so Metroid Prime is my second favorite game. This is still my original copy. I'll never get rid of this, no matter, I never will. Like, I've probably beaten this a good 10 to 15 times as well. I've 100%ed it many times. I had Metroid Fusion with the link cable, playing as the Fusion suit. Just such a badass game. The opening cinematic of this game, where you land on the giant ship, I forget what it's called, and it just pans around and it just shows her, and then she does her like sweet twisty jump down, and just beautiful game. And it's still just, it's so beautiful to this day. And it's funny because this was a really early title, but this even supports the progressive scan, which now I have the HDMI cube, so look forward to me playing this here a little bit. But so I got that, Godzilla Destroy All Monsters, or Melee, or I forget what it's called, and Sunshine for that Christmas. And what's funny is about that story, that Christmas I had bugged my parents every year for an N64 until the Cube came out. And then eventually my best friend got a Cube, and then I was just like, well, now I gotta have the Cube. Gotta have it, gotta have it, gotta have it. So, and this was a time where I was big into Zoids and Legos and stuff. So I was about 12. So getting on the tail end of being into that kind of stuff. But so I got some clothes like you always do for Christmas, and some Zoids and some Legos. And that was cool and all, but I was just like, well, I only have a few things under the tree, and Nicole's got a bunch of stuff. I was like, well, this isn't fair. So my dad goes, well, I think we might have left something downstairs. So I go downstairs, and he's got his old egg chair that he gave me. It's from like the 70s. I still have it. It's in their basement still though. But he gave me that, and he put carpeting down, just like a giant sheet of carpeting. And then they bought new couches in the living room, and then gave me the old couches in the basement. He bought me a 27-inch RCA CRT, which I still have to this day, and not with me though. It's still at their house as well. And so that's there. And then in the chair was a purple GameCube, wrapped up, obviously. This was bundled in, because this is my not for resale copy. And then, so that's the bundle that I got. And then I got the clear purple GameCube controller, a 1019 memory card, and then those other 2 games. And like, I was just blown away. And then I had a paper route at the time, so I made about $250 a month, which is crazy to think that I did all that work for $250 a month. But when you're a kid, $250 a month is a lot of money. So basically, I'd get 4 or 5 games every month, and that's how I built all my GameCube collection. I bought all that myself when I was younger. I really did, and my Xbox too, for that matter. And so the first 2 games that I picked up for it were SSX Tricky, which I've put so many hours into this game, I really have, and then Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4, which I still have as well. I love both of them dearly, but this is definitely in my top 10 for GameCube and or just kind of 6th generation in general. Such a good game. I really miss this series. They kind of, with SSX 3 it was good, and then what they have On Tour, and then they had a new one where they kind of rebooted it and it was just SSX, which I have all of them, but to me this was just the best one. I loved playing as Mac in this game, and Tricky, rock around it, Tricky, and just like, good times. But only a few more games here. And then another really standout memory for me back then was, I was also a Boy Scout for like I don't know, 10 to 12 years or something like that. And go ahead and make fun of me. I don't care. I learned a lot of valuable things from that and made a lot of good friends. But yeah, so I remember right toward the tail end when I was about 14 or 15, before I got kicked out, because I was into girls at that point in time, and I was like, dude, being a Boy Scout is not cool. I just want to hang out with women and play video games. So I remember picking up Sonic Adventure 2 Battle for the GameCube, also one of my favorite GameCube games as well. And just like, I was getting ready to go to summer camp that day for the week, and like I just could not put this game down. I just didn't want to leave. I was just like, Mom, I don't want to go. I just want to play Sonic. But obviously I had to go. And then I got kicked out of summer camp, and I got to play Sonic 2 months later after I was done being grounded. And another game that I just spent hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of hours with is, and this is truly one of my favorite games of all time, Phantasy Star Online 1 and 2. I have this on the Dreamcast as well. I have both these on the Dreamcast as well. I had this on the Xbox at 1.2, but the GameCube version is just my favorite because I'm nostalgic for it. And, you know, this was such a good game. I really wish that Sega had they remade Phantasy Star Online 2 for the PC, and they never brought it to America. There was ways that you could play it in America, but you know, I tried to, and it just wasn't the same as if they actually made it for the American market. But so I love that game. And so one of my cousins, who we used to play Xbox Live every day after school, and then on the weekends, and then eventually we got into PC gaming, and we would play War Z and H1Z1, you know, every weekend after work and this and that. But during the summers when we were younger too, I used to always stay the week at his house, or he'd come to my house, or we'd go on summer vacation with my parents, and then my aunt and uncle would take me with them, and yada yada yada. So I remember one time, I forget what he rented. He rented some piece of crap Xbox game that he regretted, and I rented Star Fox Adventure. So I remember always playing this on the 64 at my friend's house. Mind you, I didn't have a 64. So this was a very similar story to this, where it was just like same character, but it wasn't the same game. But I actually have really grown a great affliction for this game. This is truly in my top 10 for GameCube games as well. Like that week I spent playing it, like it's just such a good memory of mine to just play this game, to just pop it in, and it's time to warp to Krazoa Palace, and just fighting the dinosaurs, and just it was just such a good game. I mean, a lot of people harp on this game, but like it's such a good game, and graphically it still looks up, and it has the progressive scan too, and like I've beaten this probably a good 4 or 5 times as well, and I just loved this game so much. I really did. And then with that same cousin, there were things that we played online together. So something you might not know about me, at one point in time, I was actually a really good Xbox Live player. I was Bob McCracken back in the day. That was my Xbox Live name when I was younger. And I was like the original troll. I used to troll people when nobody else did that online. It was kind of fun. So good memories with that. But I actually have the strategy guide for Battlefront 1 and 2, and I've put so many hours into these games. Like, I truly love these. This is where gaming really got cemented with me as my true, like, just passion and love, because it was Xbox Live. I harp on the Xbox a lot, I truly do, because I don't like the direction they've gone since about 2011. I think they really kind of just went the complete wrong direction of the hardcore gamer. The original Xbox was for the hardcore gamer. That is what it was for. That's what it stood for. It filled the void for Sega after they left, because Sega was for the mature gamer, the adult gamer. That's how they advertised it back in the 90s. And then the Xbox brand kind of took over for that, because they were the third person in the battle, so to speak, and they just filled in that adult void of the market, so to speak. Because they really don't make kiddie games. I mean, they had Blinks and they had, stuff like that, but they gave up on that, and they gave up on Cameo. They're clearly not doing anything with Banjo. So, they mainly focus on adult-oriented games. But so Battlefront, played the crap out of that when I was younger. Loved it. And here's another game. This is definitely in my top 10 for Xbox. One of the best racing games, period, and then also one of the best 6th generation racing games, and just one of the best Xbox games. Can't get this one on the GameCube, so I have it on the Xbox, and that's Burnout 3 Takedown. I've played the absolute living shit out of this game as well. No matter how many times I've played this, this is a game that you can just constantly go back to and have a blast with. Supports the 480p. I remember playing online with this, and just it's such a good game. This is another series that I hold near and dear to my heart, and I'd really love to see come back, much like SSX Tricky. Funny enough, they're both EA games, and they're both shut down. And I know both those franchises sold well, so I don't know why they just straight gave up on them. EA does a lot of strange things sometimes. And my original Xbox, I saved up for paper route money. That was the first console that I bought on my own. So I bought that in 04, I think it was. So it was very at the tail end, but I really got into the Xbox quick. And at that point in time, all the games were super cheap because the generation was already almost over, because Xbox 360 came out in 05, and it was known in 04 at E3 that Xbox was coming out that next year, I believe. If memory serves me correctly. I remember watching some weird thing that Microsoft did in the desert, in like a giant warehouse for the 360, like announcement or launch or both. I don't remember. I remember watching. I'll have to try to find the video and link it maybe. But so I got my Halo Xbox, and I remember saving up. I was just gonna get the black one and then, you know, buy Halo. But then, sure enough, you know, by chance, Microsoft announces a sexy, sleek, see-through green Xbox, and then it comes with Halo, and it comes with a limited edition Halo controller. So it's just like, I gotta have that. But at the time I was only 14, and that's mature rated. Mom didn't care. Dad was like, hell no, you ain't buying that. So I somehow convinced my mom to go out and take me there to buy it. I ran into GameStop, and the one time they actually asked me, because back in the day they didn't used to ask me, when I bought GTA Vice City and 3 and San Andreas, nobody ever asked, which is very weird. And I have a baby face, so like, I'd understand why they would ask. But so I went in, bought this. They were like, nope, 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 go get your mom. So I went out and get my mom, and she's like, is it really that bad of a game? I'm just like, no, no, no. And then the guy's like, yeah, it's pretty gory and pretty violent. I was just like, but Mom, I saved up for it. It's my money. So my mom caved, let me buy it, and this is still my original copy. And actually, it must be in my Xbox. Yeah, actually, I was playing that not too long ago. So this was with that one same cousin as well, not the one that I go game hunting with, other side of the family. I've co-opted this game with him so many times, and I've co-opted it so many times in general, and just played it on my own so many times in general. This is probably one of the most influential games in my opinion, because a lot of people will say GoldenEye ushered in the console shooter. No, it was Halo. It really was. And I played GoldenEye. I played the crap out of it when I was younger. Never had it, but I played the crap out of it. And like 4 different friends had it, so I played it. And we were all in the same group of friends, so we all played it all the time. Everybody's sleepover, we were always playing N64. And then when we came to my house, everybody'd be like, oh, we gotta play Super Nintendo. But so this really just such an iconic game. Like, again, with Burnout, Battlefield, all these games that I've showed, like, I can just play these countless times and they just never get old to me, because they're just true, great, fond memories of mine playing all these games. And the final one is something that I truly think there is not a single person on this earth that could beat me at this game. I played the crap out of this online, and I feel very sad that a lot of people didn't get to try this experience online. It was a very late Xbox title. I think the 360 was actually already out by the time this came out, if I'm not mistaken, or very close to it. It's either a couple months before 360 or a couple months after. And it is a Rare title, published and developed. N64 remakes, you already know what it is. Conquer Live and Reloaded. This is probably one of my top 5 games in general. I love this game, and a lot of people will say the 64 version is better. No, I'm sorry, it's not. That's your nostalgia talking. This version is the definitive version. It's better. The cutscenes have minor differences. It's not even that big of a deal. You're not even going to notice the differences unless you play both of them side by side. This actually still holds up. This looks like an early 360 game. I mean, it still looks good to this day. Like Conquer, like you can see all of his fur all over his body, and the smoke effects that they have, and just the explosion effects and the flame, and like the bees that you see and stuff, and just the texture work is really good, and just this really goes to show what Rare was at the end. Like, this was one of Rare's as the original Rare's last games was this. You know, and original Rare was probably my favorite developer. I mean, that's the whole reason I even wanted the Xbox, was Grabbed by the Ghoulies, Conquer, you know, and then I got the 360 because I wanted Cameo and Perfect Dark Zero, and, you know, yeah. But so gaming has just been a huge part of my life, pretty much as long as I can remember, but it really just was my hobby after the 6th generation, and that's really when I started collecting, was probably around 10 to 14ish age. It was when I really just started collecting, and so I've been doing it for about 10 or 15 years, which is how I built up such a wonderful collection at not a lot of expense to myself. I mean, most of my super games I paid $5 to $15. I mean, I don't know, like this Mega Man X, I paid $5 for this, like, I don't know, maybe 5 or 10 years ago, but it's still not terribly pricey, $40, $50 title. But so I picked that up, and just, you know, collecting has just always been a thing for me. I've just kind of always done it because I'll see something that I want to play in the future, and then I buy it now when it's cheap. Like a lot of people are kind of sleeping on collecting for the PS4. But I think now is honestly getting to the point where collecting for the PS4 is gonna, and it's certain titles that'll be worth collecting for, because a lot of them you're not going to be able to play in 10 or 15 years without downloading the patches, and by then the servers are going to shut down. And if you're not aware of this, PS3 servers are going to be shutting down within a year or two, maybe less, maybe 6 months, maybe a month. I don't know, but I know that Sony announced that they're shutting them down soon. So if I were you, I would put all your games into your PS3 and download all the patches now while you can onto your hard drive, and make a duplicate hard drive so that you have all the patches. I will be doing that myself. I have about 300 PS3 games with 500 gigabyte hard drive, and I need to back that up and have 2 copies of it, and then once one dies I'll make another copy of it too, because that's the problem with modern day gaming, in my opinion, is all these patches and stuff. The Wii U was the last traditional home console, and what do I mean by that? I mean that, you know, there's a handful of games that need patches to work on the Wii U, sure. But they're not game-breaking patches, okay? To this day, I can think of 2 titles that Nintendo has had game-breaking bugs in. That being, I think it was Pokemon X and Y. I forget what the issue was, but it was Pokemon X and Y. And Zelda Skyward Sword had a huge bug in it too. But both of which were only if you talk to a certain NPC, and then the game just completely died. But other than that, Nintendo just puts out quality products. The Wii U, every one of these titles, I can just put it in and you're playing. PS4, I can literally think of 2 titles that you just put in and they don't need patches. Both of those are Platinum games. Transformers Devastation and TMNT. Both don't need patches because they just work out the box. But that's not the point of this video. As always, I ended up ranting. So peace out for now, guys. Till next time. Maybe I'll make a video on like those thoughts, and then also at some point in the near future I want to do my Super Nintendo collection. I've been kind of waiting to do that because it's not my favorite system, but it is near and dear to my heart. So I want to make like a nice collection video out of it, and you know, that kind of stuff. And there are other collection videos that I want to make and other videos. So I know the content has been a little hit or miss here lately. I've been live streaming a little bit here and there just because I want to have content out for you guys. And you know, some people don't like watching that. That's fine. Some people just like watching pickups and this and that. But the videos will be coming out more regularly. I just have a lot of stuff going on in my personal life. And maybe I'll make a video on that once all this is settled and over with, which should be about the next 2 to 3 weeks. Yeah, I just don't even want to talk about it because I'm just not in a good frame of mind right now with my life and just all the stuff that's going on. But bear with me, stay subscribed, you know, keep liking the videos and commenting, and you know, if you don't have a YouTube channel, you know, leave me a comment. Tell me what your first system was, what your first game you played was, what your favorite game is, you know, how you got into it, what cemented gaming for you, and other memories and that kind of stuff. Because I do like hearing how people got into gaming and collecting and this and that. And you know, so maybe I'll make a part 2 to this and talk more about the other stuff and where gaming is kind of going and where I'm kind of at with collecting, because right now, oh, just boogied out my nose. I'm kind of just at this point where I have most of the stuff that I want. I mean, I'm actually going to go to GameStop later and try to find some more PS3 gems and stuff, and maybe some more 360 exclusives before those get, you know, out of GameStops and they don't sell them anymore. Now is really the time to be collecting 7th gen as well, because it's just so cheap. But yeah, so that's kind of where the channel's going. Just please bear with me. Like I'm not giving up on the channel. I truly love doing this. I mean, I've made some good friends out of this. I talk to Hav probably once a week. I talk to Fred, Bad Company, once a week maybe, and you know, I've made some good friends out of this, and it's always fun to watch other people's videos. Like Shad Juice, I just watched his video this morning. He just got a hell of a Super Nintendo score. Like, you know, why not me? Why not me? He had like at least 30 or 40 box Super Nintendo games, and you know, it's cool to watch other people get these things. And I'm pretty sure he got that for a steal of a price. Even if he didn't, like if he got it for like normal price, it's still crazy to find somebody that had 30 or 40 box Super Nintendo games. I am an original Super Nintendo owner, and I only have like maybe 12 box games. Granted, they're all mine, but like I never had 30 or 40 games. But so yeah, just bear with me, like I said. And again, this video went way longer than I had intended. This is the second time I've recorded this because I wanted it to be shorter, and then now this is probably longer than the initial one that I recorded. But whatever, you know how I roll. Peace out for now, guys. Till next time.
Come here, mother. Oh, this is it, baby.